Ugh. Finally back home to the land of the free refills and the free public bathrooms. Man, it's hot back in Florida. Back a whole 2 weeks after the DLC came out. Alright, let's get to work drafting. Alright, first we gotta deal with this whole beard situation. It really got out of hand over there in Europe. Trying to make myself presentable to the audience. Alright, now we're talking much younger, much more presentable. Now all that's left is to get the suit. Alright, purple for the color of Mew. Let's get to work.
People, we are here for the UNPL Demewlition Force Draft Analysis. So, full disclosure, I wanted to record this immediately after my whole opening skit with the suit and everything, but unfortunately my internet went out. And once it came back a couple hours later, I've been so jet lagged that I was just about to pass out at like 9 o'clock, way before my usual bedtime. So I had to go to sleep. And so now I'm up at 3 a.m. And I've decided to go ahead and, you know what, I need to get this recorded. But I'm going to be a little bit quiet to not wake up my wife. Either way, though, I wanted to get this done. So, Demewlition Force Draft Analysis. Let's do it. So yeah, I'm in the UNPL Pretty Heat Draft League, led by it's Danny Mack and Kurt Buswell, among others. Lots of big names. I'm glad to be a part of it. And I'm in the Uva Division. So, our first Pokemon, what's it going to be? Look at your screen, folks. It's Urshifu Rapid Strike. Yes, now, I don't know why the past couple leagues I've just been stuck in the middle of the draft. I believe it was number 8 out of 12, somewhere around there. So not a very great position to be in. But because of the new toy syndrome, a lot of people going for things like Ogerpon and things like that, we were able to pick up a very solid Urshifu Rapid Strike here. And this is going to allow us to ignore protect. I mean, it's not like it's VGC, so it's not like we'll see much of that. But the biggest thing is having resistance to the Chien-Pao naturally, and also being able to break through Mons, Pokemons that are like Gliscor and Lando, ignoring the Intimidate with Surging Strikes, having priority in Aqua Jet. Can Swords Dance, can bulk up, you can run Choice Band, Choice Scarf, protective pads, punching gloves, all that. As much as this Mon usually has very, how should I say, narrow moveset, I think there's a lot I can do with this Mon, a lot of potential. And it's an Uber. If you can draft an Uber in round 1 while they're still there, I think you should. So that's why I went with Urshifu Rapid Strike, and let's go ahead and move on to the next Pokemon. That's right, folks. I finally got my mascot back after years of either being sniped or just not in the draft league, not available, or just not available in the game at the time, you know? So I was glad to have Mew, because this truly is a Swiss Army knife. I could do anything I want with this thing that I want to. 100 stats across the board means it's very naturally bulky. Its offensive stats aren't excellent, but they aren't bad either. You know, you can work with them. I could run Nasty Plot. I could run Calm Mind. I could run Swords Dance if I wanted to. Dragon Dance. Has lots of setup moves. Has lots of coverage. Priority and Vacuum Wave. I don't think I get Sucker Punch anymore, unfortunately, but that's fine. Its own natural bulk will allow me to be able to live a lot of hits. And it can also do things like Stealth Rocks and Spikes, so having access, and Toxic Spikes too, right? I'm assuming it has Toxic Spikes, but I'm not certain. But either way, very good Pokemon, and I'm hoping to get a lot out of it. And I'm just happy to have back as my mascot after years of it not being so. So, let's move on to the next Pokemon. Let's see what we got here. That's right, returning from the Battle Hub Draft League, we have Ting Lu. I'm going to be honest, this was not my first ground type pick. You know, I would have preferred to have some newer mons, but I had Gliscor, and I should have known better that it would have gotten picked up. It got picked up at the very end of round 1, actually, at the wheel. So I was like, okay, that's fair. Luckily, I had Lando as a backup to have that ground flying, to be able to round out the Urshifu Mew core, but that did not end up coming either. So my next ground type up was Ting-Lu. I figured, you know what, I don't mind having like one Pokemon back from the Battle Hub Draft League. And yeah, it can Stealth Rocks, it can Spikes as well, just in case I don't want to bring Mew. It has an enormous physical defense stat. I mean, 165 HP, 130 defense. Nothing's breaking through that physically, defensively. But then its special defense is also boosted by its ability. So if I wanted to, I could run max HP, max special defense, Solid Vest. We saw what that could do versus Rotom Wash in the semifinals of the Battle Hub Draft League. It was able to easily tank a Hydro Pump from Rotom in the rain. So it has a lot of different things it can do. Ruination, I mean, just the ability to cut off 50% from any Pokemon. Nothing's immune to it, unlike Super Fang. It has 110 attack, which is stronger than Mew. So stab Earthquakes and stuff like that. Does this thing get knockoff? I don't think it does. I feel like we would have known I would know if this thing had knockoff. It would be nice if it did. But by the way, plenty of things it can do. Just being able to switch in as a either Fizz Def or Spadef Wall was huge. Now obviously I need something that can I mean, I have Mew, but it would be nice to have something to take the fighting hits a little bit better on the Spadef side. So I decided to go ahead and draft a new Pokemon, Pheasantipity. Now, originally, I think a lot of people thought this Pokemon was going to be a busted. The leaks said that it was going to be like 145 base special attack with Serene Grace as its hidden ability. Those did not pan out. Instead, it's a Spadef Wall with 88 HP and 125 Spadef. Now, honestly, I feel like it was higher than that, but it's basically around the same Spadef level as a Alolan Muck, and we've all seen what a Alolan Muck can do in terms of its Spadef. It's also Poison, which you should have a Poison type on your draft team to be able to absorb Toxic Spikes and be immune to Poison. Its ability Toxic Chain, though, I really want to take advantage of. Of course, it has Beat Up, so you can hit like 6 times, and I don't know, what's the math on, what is it, like 0.8 to the 6th power, negative that, plus 1, I don't know. It's close to 100%, probably 80 to 90% chance of badly poisoning your opponent while doing damage to them at the same time. I mean, 91 base attack is nothing to scoff at. Much higher than its special attack stat, which is kind of garbage. So this thing can U-turn, it can roost, it actually has a recovery move, kind of crazy in this meta. 99 speed is actually super fast for bulky mon. I mean, that's faster than Gliscor, which is notably a fast, physically defensive wall. So a lot of options I could do with this thing. I could run it as a Technician. Well, I don't know. I honestly don't know what I could do with Technician. Like Double Kick, Beat Up. I'm not really sure what else is getting boosted, but it's a solid mon, I think. And it's a new one, and I wanted to use it. So, hoping to get a lot out of it. So, let's see what the next mon that we have is. That's right. Also returning from the Battle Hub Draft League, I conscripted my semi-finalist opponent, Scorpion's Iron Leaves. The Leaf Agent has now come to the Demewlition Force, folks. With 130 base attack and 104 speed, I knew I wanted this thing. But it's not just that. I don't know if you've noticed, but I think I've discovered the key to excelling in draft battles, and it's not having the fastest mon or the strongest mon. I think the bulkier your mons, the better you do, because you're able to live a lot more hits. You can have a lot more options switching in, and that's what I discovered having a bulky team last time. So I tried to recreate my success for the Battle Hub Draft League in this team, and having Iron Leaves with 90 base HP, 108 special defense, much like its ancestor Virizion, very especially bulky. And its physical defense ain't bad either. Now it does have a bad typing, and it is unable to Terra. But I still think this mon can excel. With the Quark Drive and the 104 base speed, I think this thing could do a lot. I think after I SD up, and I have access to close combat, Leaf Blade, Psy Blade, I can hit a lot of things. Between Urshifu and Iron Leaves, I can do a lot, which is what I'm trying to do. So, yeah, also Urshifu was, of course, captained by Beardew for the Battle Hub Draft League, so I'm kind of trying to also bring together the memories from my friends from that league, and then put them all into this league, too, is kind of what I was going for with this team. So, let's see what we're working with next. That's right, returning from the, I believe it was the SPC, the Sky Pillar League, SPL, something. No, it wasn't SPL. I don't know. It was the league I was in before Battle Hub Draft League in Scarlet and Violet. I had a Noivern, and I wanted to use a Noivern again. And this is actually my Terra Captain, one of my Terra Captains. If you have a Noivern, I feel like it's gotta be a Terra Captain. I love the move Boom Burst. You know, back in X and Y, I just love spamming Choice Specs X-Cloud Boom Burst, and because it was so strong. And now I can have it on Noivern as a stab move. With Infiltrator, I think having Infiltrator is a very good ability to have in draft, just because a lot of people like to run things like Substitute. If they can, they'll try to run screens. And of course, this thing is also a defogger, so having a defogger is also great. Just a lot of things rolled into one with this mon. 123 base speed is also incredibly fast. Speed tying things like Meowscarada, speeding things like Cinderace. Great mon to have. And I can run Choice Specs, Draco Meteor if I want to, get some big hits off. It's Terra type, so the way that the Terras work in this league are... I guess I should have explained how the league works too, right? Whatever. 3 Terra types. Normal, obviously, for Boom Burst. Steel, to resist the fairies. And Flying. That way, just in case if I really needed it for a battle, I could, I remove my fairy weakness. And I also have a 100% accurate flying type move. That way I don't have to rely on Hurricane or Air Slash. Which is good. You know, and it's also going to be adaptability 2 times, so super strong flying type move. Now, of course, so let me try to just explain the league. So there's 2 different divisions. I'm in the Uva Division. I believe it's 12 players in each one. We got our buddies Praetor and Bread on the Naranja side, and Uva side has big names like Kurt and Grandmaster Ray, Indomitable Will, Talon J Master. I mean, just lots of cool people who I'm very excited about that I haven't battled before. And I believe it's a 9-week season, and we're trying to get that top cut to playoffs, baby. So the way the Terra types worked was 2 non-stab and 1 stab, so I figured having flying as much as adaptability Draco Meteor would be nice. It's going to lower my special attack, so I'm not really going to want to keep spamming it, as good of a move as it is. So that's Noivern. Let's move on then to our next Pokemon, another returning Pokemon from the SPC. We have Bisharp. He was also on that team, and it did pretty well. I needed some more priority. Obviously, we have Aqua Jet on Urshifu, Mew has Vacuum Wave at the very least. I'm not sure if it has anything else, but I know it has that. And Bisharp has Sucker Punch. Uh, Doubling up on the dark types, which I usually try to avoid doubling up on types, but I saw Bisharp was there, and I was like, you know what, I want it. I want a nice, powerful steel type, so this is what I was going for. Having Defiant, so if anyone tries to bring webs versus me, I can actually use them to my advantage. Deals with Intimidate. Obviously, they can carry a Violite, so even though it only has 65 HP, that 100 defense is going to get boosted by 50%. I mean, not the base stat, but the actual stat. And it also boosted its Spadef, so it's almost like it's holding an Assault Vest, naturally. Well, not naturally, it's holding an item, but you know what I mean. 70 base speed isn't bad. King Gambit has to rely on 50 base speed, but you know, it has Sucker Punch and Swords Dance. I can also Brick Break if I needed to be able to get rid of the screens. Lots of cool options. It still doesn't have access to knockoff, which was very unfortunate. I was really hoping that the DLC would have given it knockoff. But if it did get knockoff, this mod probably wouldn't have been available for me to draft in round 7. Though I'm fine with it. Alright, so let's move on now to the next Pokemon. I figured I needed an electric type, and having another Levitator ain't bad. You know, we have Iron Leaves and Noivern, which are going to allow me to resist ground. So having a Levitator ain't bad. With 115 attack and 105 special attack, it's not very strong. It's decently strong, but I mean, 85, 80, 80. The defenses allows it to be able to live a fair amount of hits. I can slap on an Assault Vest. I can run a Coil Set. This is also another Terra Captain, by the way. After playing a fair bit of Inu for a while, I've seen what this thing can do with either Terra Poison or Terra Steel Coil. Being able to not be poisoned while still being immune to ground, even though you'd be weak to it otherwise, is huge. Sorry, the fatigue is starting to catch up to me at 3 AM, but it's fine. We'll work through it. This mon can Volt Switch. It can have Giga Drain, Flamethrower, lots of coverage moves, which is great for a mon like this. Again, the whole idea of my team, in addition to being a bunch of bulky attackers, is to also be like a Swiss Army knife. I want to be adaptable and have the team conform to whatever situation I need. So having Electros is just another tool that I have at my disposal, basically. So let's see what the next mon that we're working with here is. And it's Hisuian Typhlosion, a mon that we got from Pokemon Home. So not a super new Pokemon, but fairly new still to Scarlet and Violet. With 119 special attack, those eruptions are going to hit hard. And Frisk is actually a pretty decent ability in draft. Obviously, I'm not going to run it with Noivern. I mean, I might, but I would much rather be running Infiltrator, if I'm honest. But having Frisk on this thing is cool. Being able to scout what items our opponent have. 95 base speed isn't great, but with a Choice Scarf and things like that, we can make it work. Or I can just slap a Choice Specs on and just absolutely obliterate things with Eruption. And having Ghost, I needed a nice powerful Ghost type to be able to block Rapid Spin, so I figured this mon would do pretty well. I could also run sets like Infernal Parade. This mon doesn't have too much coverage, but it has things like Extrasensory, Solar Beam, if I wanted to, for some reason, run in the sun, I guess, I don't know. The biggest thing is that this thing can just throw off nice and powerful eruptions and spin block, was my idea with this mon. And having that, I needed a fire type at some point to round out the grass, water, fire core. So, let's see what the next Pokemon that we're working with here is. Actually, a bit of a double up here at the end, spoiler for my last 2 mons. These were actually transactions at the end during the grace period. I doubled up. I got Lycanroc again. Lycanroc Midday from the Battle Hub Draft League, and Hisui and Avalugg. But having 2 rock types at the end, I was just like, that's a little bit too weak to ground, having 3 ground weeks at the end. So I was like, okay, let me trade in both of those for a ground resist in Toadscruel. A much better rapid spinner in my opinion than Avalugg, being super fast. I believe it's 100 base speed, just like its brother Tentacruel. And Glaceon, a nice and powerful ice type with access to freeze dry. I think having freeze dry in draft is a very good ability to have. Um, Being able to hit things like Gastrodon and Quagsire, even though I have Iron Leaves, but this just gives me another option. 65 base speed is pretty darn slow, but sometimes you need to have those slower mons in case you run into Trick Room, and you want to be sure you outspeed them in case your opponent tries to do a Trick Room thing. And it's also, like I said, I need those bulky attackers with 110 defense and 95 base special defense. Even though it only has 65 HP, I could run something like an Assault Vest set. I could run max HP, max defense. In the snow, if I run versus a Hail team, Snow team, I guess, Snowscape, I get my defense boosted, which would be great. So just having access to this is absolutely incredible in my opinion. And I'm very hyped to see what this thing can do. Very strong special attacker with those stab ice beams and such. And Toadscruel, of course, can do things like spikes, toxic spikes. The Mycelium might spore. We can ignore magic bounce if we want to. So let's say I'm going up against a team with Hatterene. Instead of, let's say, well, I'm kind of spoiling what I might do, but you know what I mean. I can ignore magic bounce is what I'm saying. And it has the stab earth power, stab giga drain. I can spore, get another mon in, set up. Lots of options. So this is the Demewlition Force team for the UNPL. Very excited to get started here. And let's see what we can do here, folks. The schedule should be every Friday or Saturday. If I can, I'll probably try to upload on Friday just because I'm always eager to try to upload. So I'll do my best to try to do that. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week for week 1. Bye-bye.